The sound of my heartbeat drowned out everything else. I was sitting on the couch, his phone in my hand, the screen lighting up my trembling fingers. Outside, the cold Seattle wind slammed against the window, but I barely noticed the message was there. A notification at the top of the screen, like the universe had just spit the truth right in my face. It said, "Are you coming today? I can't wait to see you again." I could barely breathe. My hands were ice cold, but my head was burning. Deep down, a voice kept insisting I shouldn't go on, that maybe it was just a misunderstanding. But another voice, darker, whispered, "Keep going," and I did. I scrolled through the screen, and every word I read felt like it was ripping a piece out of me. Photos, voice messages, one of them with his laugh, the same one I heard every night before falling asleep. But now, it wasn't for me. The doorbell rang. I almost dropped the phone. When I opened the door, there was Lisa, my best friend, with a look that mixed pity and a certain pleasure in knowing more than she should. With a steady voice, she said, "Emily, I heard Daniel talking to another woman. You need to check his phone today." The way she said it froze me from the inside out. This wasn't gossip. It was a warning, and I knew that after this moment, there would be no turning back.
Before we go on, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any chapter full of twists like this one. Hit that like button right now, because it helps me bring you more real and intense stories. Comment down below and tell me which country and city you're from. Share this video with a friend who needs to see it. And send your story to the email on the screen. I'd be happy to share it here on my channel.
My name is Emily Carter. I'm 32 years old, and I live in a red brick house in the suburbs of Bellevue, Washington. Every morning, before heading to work, I follow the same ritual: brewing fresh coffee in the KitchenAid coffee maker, letting the aroma fill the kitchen, and setting 2 mugs on the table, one for me, one for Daniel. He always said he loved when I spread butter on his bagel while it was still warm, the right way, until it melts. Small gestures, little routines, that I believed were the foundation of our relationship. I worked as a marketing coordinator at a tech company in Redmond. Daniel managed a sporting goods store. We had plans. We were saving for a trip to Napa Valley in the fall. I had already picked out the blue silk dress from Bloomingdale's for our first night's dinner. On weekends, we'd go to Pike Place Market to buy flowers and fresh fruit. He'd hold my hand, and I believed that was love. But over the past few months, something changed. He started coming home later. The scent on his shirt wasn't his. The excuses came ready-made. Last-minute meeting, important client. I tried to push the bad thoughts away, to convince myself it was just work stress, until Lisa showed up that morning with that look full of secrets and said, "Emily, you need to see his phone." Her tone wasn't gossip. It was heavy, loaded with something I couldn't name. Now, looking back, I wonder, were the signs always there, and I just didn't want to see them? The first time I realized something was wrong was on a Friday night. Daniel came home close to midnight, saying he'd been stuck at work because an important client showed up at the last minute. That would have been fine, except the scent that came with him wasn't his. It was a sweet, lingering perfume that clung to my pillow that night. "Everything okay?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Of course, I'm just tired," he replied. He turned his back and fell asleep as if nothing had happened. But I stayed awake, staring at the wall, listening to the ticking clock, trying to convince my heart to slow down. Then came the deleted messages. One day, while he was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. I picked it up, just to see who it was, but there was nothing. Entire conversations gone. When he came out of the bathroom and saw me holding his phone, his expression hardened, and he said to me in a sharp tone, "I don't like people messing with my things, Emily." I felt ashamed, guilty, as if I had crossed some sacred line. The following week, another change. He started paying unusual attention to his appearance. New shirts from Nordstrom, more time in front of the mirror, an expensive haircut in downtown Seattle. I complimented him, but inside, something burned. He wasn't dressing up for me, and then came the business trip to Portland. He said it was for a sporting goods conference. On Saturday night, Lisa called me and asked, "Emily, are you alone tonight?" I said, "Yes, why?" And she replied, "I think there are things you need to know. I'll come to your place this week so we can talk." On Sunday, Daniel came back with a tired smile and a keychain as a souvenir. But in the bottom of his bag, I found a napkin with the name of a restaurant in Portland and a red lipstick stain in the corner. I kept the napkin and didn't ask him a thing. And weeks later, Lisa showed up at my door with that look I already knew would bring nothing good. I was in the kitchen, pouring strong coffee into my favorite mug, the white one with gold letters that read "Good Vibes Only." Irony, outside, the light, steady rain typical of Seattle tapped against the window, creating a constant sound that made me restless. The doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I saw Lisa standing there, staring straight at me. Her breathing was quick, and her hands trembled slightly as she held the strap of her purse. With a firm voice, she said, "Emily, I heard Daniel talking to another woman. You need to check his phone today." The way she said it froze me from the inside out. This wasn't gossip. It was as if she was handing me a truth that could destroy everything, and she knew it. I invited her in. While I poured the coffee, my mind was already somewhere else, upstairs, where his phone was. I just needed an opening, and it came minutes later. When Daniel stepped into the shower, I rushed upstairs, grabbed his phone, and came back to the living room. I sat next to Lisa and unlocked it. The messaging app was open. The name at the top was just a single letter, but as I scrolled up, the words began cutting into me like sharp blades. One of the messages read, "I can't wait to smell you again. Last night was perfect, love. Promise you won't tell anyone?" My chest tightened, my breathing almost stopped. I could feel the blood pounding in my ears, drowning out every other sound. And then, the photos. Not explicit, but intimate enough to leave no doubt. Him, smiling in a way he hadn't smiled at me in months. In some, he was lying naked on the bed posing. But in none of them did the woman's face appear, except there was a detail. A thin silver bracelet with a star-shaped charm. I had seen that bracelet before, but in that moment, my mind didn't connect the dots. I asked Lisa, "Who is she?" My voice came out almost as a whisper. Lisa looked away and replied, "I don't know. Could it be someone from work?" she said, pretending uncertainty. Her answer hit me like a punch. Everything seemed out of focus. I looked at the phone again, and there it was, the final proof. A voice message. I pressed play, and it was his voice, low, laughing, saying, "I can't stop thinking about last night. About the way you looked at me when Emily called." My whole body froze. It was as if I had been thrown out of my own life. I sat down, hugged my knees, and felt the tears burn down my face. The rain outside now sounded like a dark applause for the collapse of my world, and in the middle of that storm in my head, only one question kept hammering away. What would I do with this truth? I stayed there, sitting on the couch, hugging my knees, while Lisa silently stood up and placed Daniel's phone on the coffee table. The screen light kept blinking, as if mocking me. Lisa asked quietly, "Are you going to be okay?" I just nodded, saying yes. But not even I believed that answer. As soon as Lisa left, I felt the whole house pressing down on me. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. I wanted to scream, to break something, but my hands were locked, as if my body had frozen. I wanted to set the house on fire with him inside. Minutes later, I heard the bathroom door open. He was done with his shower. Daniel came down from the bedroom, walking toward me with that automatic smile, carrying a bag from his trip, and said, "I bought your favorite wine for us to have tonight, my love." The words hit me like acid, burning me from the inside out. My favorite wine. The same one he had probably shared with his lover just days ago. Not a single word came out of my mouth. I just stared at him, while my emotions fought to spill over somehow. "Because I stayed silent," he asked. "Emily, are you okay, my love?" He kept looking at me, noticing my pale face and the emptiness in my eyes. I took a deep breath, trying to decide, do I explode now or wait? The rage wanted me to throw the phone at his face, to scream every word stuck in my throat, but a part of me wanted more. I wanted to know how deep the betrayal went, who R really was. I wanted to hear him lie, just to see his face when I laid out all the proof in front of him. So I smiled, a fake, cold, calculated smile, and I said, "You took your time, love." He relaxed, completely fooled, and went into the kitchen. Meanwhile, I was already mapping out my plan. Pretend everything was normal, wait for the perfect moment, and dismantle piece by piece the castle of lies he had built for me. But there was something I couldn't shake. Lisa's look before she left. It wasn't just pity. There was something possessive, a glint in her eyes that sent a chill down my spine. That night, lying next to him, I felt the warmth of his body, but it was like sleeping beside a stranger. I didn't close my eyes. I just listened to every breath he took, wondering, how long has this been going on? And is the worst part still ahead? And I had no idea. The worst was yet to come. 2 days later, I was at the office when I got a notification in my personal email. It was a shared folder on Google Drive. Sender, anonymous. I opened the folder. Inside, there were dozens of photos and videos. My heart started pounding so hard my hands turned sweaty, and for a moment, I thought I might die right there. The first image loaded, and for a second, I thought it was fake. Until I realized it was in single quotes T.It was Daniel, my husband, the man I had dedicated so many years of my life to, the man I called love every day, the man I trusted completely, and with him was her, my best friend, my confidant, Lisa. They were in a hotel in Portland, the same one from the so-called business conference. In the photo, he was holding her face, kissing her in a way he hadn't kissed me in months. The dates on the images matched perfectly with the weekend of that trip. A cold wave ran through my body. The lump in my throat turned into nausea. Now, I knew that R wasn't a stranger. R was Lisa, my best friend since high school. I looked again at one of the photos. There it was, the thin silver bracelet with the star-shaped charm shining on her wrist, the same charm I had noticed in the photos I'd seen on his phone, the same one she wore the day she knocked on my door to help me, the messages, the lipstick on the napkin, the way she avoided my eyes. Everything made sense in a single second, like a puzzle that just needed the last piece. In that moment, my world fell apart for the second time. I was lost. I didn't know what to do, and the worst part came right after. Among the videos, there was one of them in bed. Daniel was laughing and saying, "She'll never suspect a thing. Emily trusts people too much. She's too naive. Such a fool." The sentence echoed in my mind like poison. I started remembering everything I had done for him over the years. I went home immediately and spent the rest of the day crying my eyes out. I was angry, I was sad, I was shattered. That same night, when he came home, I didn't say a word. I was sitting at the dining table, my laptop open, every photo displayed on the screen. He walked in, greeted me, and I turned the laptop toward him. He saw the pictures, and his face went pale instantly, as if he'd seen a ghost. He spoke quickly. "Emily, it's not what it looks like." I crossed my arms and let him talk. I stayed quiet, just listening. He spewed lies, excuses, justifications. And then he went for the lowest blow. "If you had given me more attention, none of this would have happened." My smile was cold like a block of ice. "Interesting," I said. "So, it was my lack of attention that made you sleep with Lisa, my best friend?" His silence said more than any confession ever could. I knew there was nothing left to save. The only thing left to decide was how I was going to walk away from this story as a victim, or as a much stronger woman, and the choice I made that night was not the one he expected. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't beg. I simply stood up from the table, grabbed my coat, and said, You have until tomorrow to be out of this house. He started talking, following me through the living room, trying to touch me. I stepped back and said, "Don't you dare put your hands on me, or I'll call the police." That night, I didn't sleep at home. Not because I couldn't look at him, but because I wanted him to feel the weight of the emptiness next to him. In the morning, I came back, and when I walked in, I found him packing his things. I walked past him in silence and didn't say a word. Before leaving, he came toward me and tried to hug me. I pulled away and said, "Good luck finding another woman who will believe your lies." As soon as the door closed, I grabbed my phone and called the building manager where Lisa worked. I told her the whole story. I sent the messages, the audios, the photos, and the videos. I didn't do it out of revenge, it was justice. It was the least I could do. The next day, I deleted his number, cleaned up my social media, and bought a one-way ticket to New York. I had always dreamed of living there, but he used to say it was impossible. Now, nothing was impossible for me. On my first night in the city, I walked through Times Square, surrounded by lights and the distant sounds of music and car horns. In the cold night air, I drank a hot coffee and realized something. This wasn't just about discovering a betrayal. It was about rediscovering myself. I was free from a man who wasn't worth a damn. I had been trapped with someone who didn't value me. But that night, in New York, I felt free. I took out my phone, opened the Notes app, and wrote a single sentence, one I would keep as a permanent reminder. My greatest victory was choosing myself. My name is Emily, and this was my story.
If this story touched you in any way, subscribe to the channel now and help me amplify women's voices. Asterisk, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Asterisk, share it with that friend who needs to hear this today. And tell me in the comments what you would do if you were in her place. See you in the next story, and it could be yours.